Greetings and welcome to an Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable. Very excited today to talk about Wellfield Technologies, Inc. I am Rob. Next to me in the basement. What are you doing over there? What are you sneaking around back down there? That's Galen. He's got stuff in the fridge.
Yep.
Far corner is Vishal, and directly above us is the Phantom Guru, the unknown comic. Will be contributing today. And we're talking about Wellfield. Now, this is, boy, you need to be pretty smart to even go down this road. It's kind of the blockchain thing. It's kind of it's the DeFi, the decentralized finance area. And who's going to tee it up for us?
Chris.
Chris is going to.
It's me.
There you go.
The lengths I go through to get my hair to behave itself. I was just wearing that mask in celebration of our Nation Extreme Wrestling show at Studio Nightclub on Saturday night, which was a sellout.
Nice.
Third sellout in a row. Tickets for the Commodore show, January 15th, available at Ticketmaster. All right, let's get into Wellfield. Okay, so you're right, it's a complicated one, but it's not so complicated. So let me take us back in history a little bit to a gentler time when we all just sent our money to the bank, and the bank had processes that we would follow to get our money out, to spend our money, to share it with other people, to borrow more, etc. And then at some point someone said, hey, why don't we just not do that anymore and have an entirely new financial system that's decentralized? And we'll call it like cryptocurrency, and we'll just like make our own currency. It'll be great. And the world was like, what? Okay, let's try that. And then a thing called Coinbase came about after Mt. Gox and after a whole bunch of other exchanges went bankrupt, some with my money. Howdy, Einstein Exchange. Coinbase came along and went public to many billions of dollars market cap. Coinbase's deal is, hey, you send me your money, I'll turn it into crypto, and then you can trade your crypto. And then if you want to change from Bitcoin to Ethereum, well, you sell your Bitcoin back to cash, and then you go buy some Ethereum. And then if Ethereum one day you wake up and it is like half off and you decide you want to sell it, we may be here to do so, or we may just be like, sorry, we got technical difficulties today. You're going to have to wear that shit. So at some point, someone's like scratched their pointy head and said, wasn't the idea of this supposed to be to get away from gatekeepers of our money? It was supposed to be decentralized so that we could just like, hey, Vishal, you've got some Ethereum. I'd like to buy it with you with some Bitcoin. How about you take my Bitcoin and I'll take your Ethereum and we'll just do the deal. And now I've got some Ethereum. You know what I'd like to do is buy some pizza with it. So I can just trade with Bob's Pizza, which takes Ethereum, and I can buy myself a pizza. But we don't do that because crypto doesn't have any function. Now, I know a bunch of crypto nerds, a ton of crypto nerds are going to like try and drop into the DMs and be like, what are you talking about? There's smart contracts and there's a whole bunch of shut the F up. Until you're buying pizza with Ethereum, there is no function for Ethereum, no real world function. Now, guys can go out and play in the sidelines there, but if Grandpa struggles to get Ethereum into his pocket and struggles to actually use it because it's up here and it's down here and it's all that, there's no use case. It's just an asset. It's gold. It's at some point, right? So we've essentially created another 100,000 commodities, none of which actually exist in the real world. So the whole promise of DeFi, of crypto, as a get Grandpa out of the way model, get the gatekeepers out of the way so that we can just do good old business across borders, across the room, whatever we want to do. That's not happening yet. So what Wellfield Technologies, which is public, I think today, if we're going on Tuesday, what they're trying to do is basically create the rails to which cryptocurrency and decentralized finance can actually operate without having to have a massive exchange in the middle, peeling off 10%, 6%, 16% credit card rates, essentially, slowing down the process, and occasionally just fucking disappearing with the money, right? So if I want to invest in crypto right now, as you know, a gray-haired guy, I got to go to an exchange. I got to wire them some cash. I got to hope that my bank actually puts that through, because most of the banks are like, you want to use your credit card for what now? So I got to actually get the money to them from my bank. Then once they register it, now I can actually go and buy some crypto, but I'm going to pay a nice big fat fee attached to it. So what's the point at that point? If I've got to make 5% just to cut even on the fees that I've got, and it's going to take me a month to get my damn cash through, I've got 5 grand sitting with an exchange right now, and I can't for the life of me get them to free it up into my account, nor release it back to my bank. And this is the second time I had an exchange screw me over. Einstein Exchange had 5 grand on my crypto, and overnight, midnight move, gone. So, I'm all for a company coming along and saying, we can get in the middle of this. And by that, I mean getting out of the middle. We can just let you connect to Galen, do your trade. It's all good. So what they're doing, we've got two branches, basically two brands. One is creating the rails of decentralized finance, right? A method for me to exchange my currency with your currency, with a currency, create contracts, loan my money out, borrow money, buy pizza, do whatever you want. Like the actual currency part of cryptocurrency, where you might actually use it for the means of which it was originally designed, rather than just speculating on value. The second part of that is they've got a brand that is more consumer focused, that is putting together an app that will allow people to engage in point-to-point commerce, where it's more a case of, download the app, connect with your bank. The money's going from your bank to the trade rather than going from the bank to this company, to another company, and getting stuck up in the works. So that's the long story short version. If you go through their investor deck, you'll get a lot deeper dive into the actual structure of the products they're putting together. But the bottom line on it is what they're calling is they're creating the money Legos. So if I have an idea of a way that crypto might work with another crypto, that people might be able to trade with other people, that commerce may be able to happen, that they're creating the tools, the picks and shovels for the pointy heads in crypto to basically put everything together and connect me to Vishal or Rob or Galen or a foxy redhead.
And those two products that you referred to are actually what became Wellfield Technologies.
Right. So there are two companies that already exist. They're Israeli companies that have many PhDs attached and have been putting together some good old-fashioned IP. The idea, the way I sort of look at it is they're creating the software that your casino might operate to play blackjack. They're not playing blackjack, right? So if a casino decides that they want to offer blackjack, they rather than building it themselves, they go out and find the best software to do that. And these guys are doing that in the DeFi space. They're basically creating the means of people with good ideas to connect with other people with good ideas and not have to go through a shitty interface that you have to, read a white paper to understand, and not park your money off-site with another company that you hope tomorrow will actually still be there or not be hacked. There are other groups that are doing similar things to them, but those groups either they moved first but not in a complete way and have damaged themselves. They've been hacked. They don't necessarily do what they're supposed to do in a timely fashion. These guys are holding off until their product is ready for prime time and usable for the entire decentralized finance world.
You mentioned the Israeli connection. It is Levi Cohen as the CEO. They're based in Israel and also in California. Their CFO, by the way, Brian Locke, however, is located in Canada and over on the Equity.Guru website, right over there, you'll see an interview with Brian Locke on the topic with Jody Vance. Galen, so the whole idea ultimately is, Chris was initially referring to, is like all the old-fashioned banking, they take fees. Like I get pissed off every month about the fees I get jabbed. So the idea is to get rid of that. And right now at the crypto world, we're still kind of it's still bogged down. It's still not pure. So what do you think?
The problem is that it's a new technology, but it's never really been put out as a new technology. It's just a new technology based on old paradigms. And this is how it is, and this is the reason why we have Coinbase. We merely switched our masters rather than actually break free of the system that we had been sort of chained to, basically, for good reason. We needed that trusted third party to make sure that, the transaction was legitimate and that, the money was there and that it would arrive at its destination. But now with blockchain, there's the opportunity of having that direct peer-to-peer transactions that don't require a trusted third party because of the double spend protection and also security in terms of encryption and other types of things. But still, it's in its embryonic stages, as Chris stated already. And this is why Wellfield is stepping into the fray to provide a service that actually brings it to the people. My argument has been that with decentralized finance is that it's still an esoteric world that really exists among experts and big companies. So you're getting screwed once again, just from, as I said, a different master. So with Wellfield coming forward and providing an opportunity to build things on an infrastructure point, which is what its seamless platform is all about, that you can build applications on it and say that I want to sell pizzas. Yep. And there you go. You build your site based on the seamless application. And then the front end, the Moneyclip, is the app that will allow users like you and me and Uncle Bob, who's never touched a decentralized app in his life, to now start to control their finances through the modern paradigm that we're trying to develop for finance. I like what they're doing. It's got some pretty big people behind it. Mark Lustig, who's got a reputation for developing large companies and has done some big exits himself, is one of the board members. I think he's chairman. I have to take a look at that again.
He's the chairman, yeah.
Yeah, he's the chairman. And then, as Chris said, for lack of a better term, bunch of brainiacs in behind who have experience within the industry and have already done the legwork to create these items, and now they're bringing it in to create sort of a vertical integration that will put all the best of both worlds in one spot. I like these guys. I think it's an interesting concept. I like the idea of decentralized finance. I'm still struggling with the concept of turning cryptocurrency into actual currency because it still remains quite a speculative asset. If there's a way that through regulation and legislation and also through control to create a more stable environment for the trading of these things, then yes, this does seem to be a viable solution to creating transactions in the future. And these guys, through preparing this environment and this foundation, are providing a way to do this. And so, yeah, I'm behind this.
Vishal, no charts yet. So as we speak, this company is just coming online. It's WFLD, Wellfield Technologies, Inc. on the venture exchange, WFLD. By the time people are watching this, they might be able to invest in it. But tell us about the sector. That's really the only thing we can look at this exact moment.
Exactly, yeah. We'll take a look at a few crypto charts here, but just before we do that, I'll show you guys the top DeFi tokens, decentralized finance. Galen and I and Joseph have talked a lot about it on our Friday shows. I find it a really interesting space just because a lot of the hardcore crypto guys, the guys who basically were in crypto over a decade ago and were in it because it was away from big government, big corporations, big banks. If regulations do come on cryptos down the road, then I think a lot of that money, a lot of that money is already going into DeFi because they're saying that the DeFi space is going to be what the crypto space was supposed to be a few years ago. And once Wall Street and, as I said, big banks and stuff get their hands on it, it's not really going to be the anti-establishment thing anymore. So a lot of money is looking at DeFi. Me personally, I have actually used or have bought some decentralized finance tokens. I've bought some NFTs. The thing that I find really interesting with Wellfield here is branching or using Bitcoin to be able to run into the DeFi space. Right now, if you want to buy NFTs or if you want to buy certain tokens, a lot of them are actually now traded on Binance and Bittrex and those exchanges. So you can use whatever cryptocurrency you want to purchase things. But if you want to buy things that, I guess, maybe it's just me buying them, but there's a few other people looking at, some of these projects, which you can only buy actually through Uniswap or through a place called Sushi Swap. There's a bit of a learning curve to be able to buy that kind of stuff. So I think, what Wellfield is doing will simplify DeFi because it is, as you hinted at earlier, Rob, it is pretty complex. I like this whole idea of using Bitcoin. A lot of people are, looking at Cardano as sort of the, Ethereum killer because, Ethereum right now is used for a lot of DeFi applications. And the issue I have sort of with Ethereum is the gaslight fees. Now, I'm not saying, the Bitcoin fee is going to be any better. I've heard it's maybe a bit better, but there's times when I was buying, say, if you spend a few $100s to buy a DeFi token using Ethereum on the decentralized finance network, you're maybe paying double the amount for what they call gaslight fees. So for fees, you're spending double the amount to buy things. So it was really expensive using Ethereum. But obviously with the I think it's Ethereum 2.0, that's sort of on its way. And Ethereum gets all these little upgrades that pop up here and there. And it is, doing its job to handle those fees. So it is improving. But some say, if you could use Bitcoin on DeFi networks, that would be great. So we'll have to watch and see. I think that whole idea is going to be big going into the future. This whole idea that you'll be able to branch into the DeFi network using specific tokens or maybe using many tokens. So that's, why I'm really intrigued by this Wellfield project. If we look at the cryptocurrency, so obviously if this is going to be IPO today, it's better if it's on a day when cryptos are doing quite well. Bitcoin hit all-time record highs of close to, above 69K. This was in the first few weeks of November. And then we saw a sell-off, and cryptos tend to move with the stock market right now just because both are considered what you would call, I guess, risk-on assets. So when everything is, rainbows and sunshine, you're running into stocks, you're running into cryptos. You don't really care too much about any fear news and that kind of stuff. And then when the fear hits, you tend to get out of these risk assets. So cryptos and stocks have been sort of moving in tandem together. We have seen a nice pop in the stock market today on Monday, and a pretty decent pop here on some of the cryptos. I would just say here for Bitcoin specifically, though, I think if we get a nice close back above 60K, that's sort of what I want to see. You can sort of see the 60K area here is still a price ceiling, I guess you could call it, or a resistance. So we might not, be out of the woodwork just yet. Maybe cryptos have some room to go. And mind you, if I do say that, that means it's likely the stock markets have some further downside move here in the few upcoming days or even weeks. I find Ethereum quite interesting. And, this actually does sort of go into the whole DeFi network because there's a few DeFi tokens, Mana, Gala, Sand, that are actually, ripping a few 100%. I know a lot of like the retail crowd are looking at it. And once again, you don't necessarily need Ethereum to buy those DeFi tokens because I believe most of them are now on Binance or Bittrex. But I find it interesting that, a coin like Ethereum is actually performing much better than a few of the other tokens here. It is bouncing off 4K. It looks much more healthier, I guess you can say. The people did buy the dip at 4K after this huge red candle. And I think it has to do with people buying Ethereum to buy things on the decentralized finance platforms such as NFTs and even DeFi tokens. So obviously, if both of these cryptos are doing nice and well tomorrow, when Wellfield comes out, I think that could give us some strength on the IPO, but I'll be definitely looking forward to the IPO tomorrow.
And the fun element to all of this is, of course, it's good old Canadian dollars that will be being spent on the stock. Chris, real quick, as just a side piece of information for investors. So sometimes IPO can be intimidating. It's like, oh, is it a private party? Can I go ahead and buy stock on day one? Like, how the hell does that work? Is there any complications, or is there anything that prevents any one of us just saying, I'll plunk down some money at 2:00 in the afternoon?
Look, sometimes it takes a while for the ticker symbols to roll into the brokerage houses. So, traditionally there has been some slow uptake on go public day. You've also got to figure out, like, do people actually know that the story is coming public, and do they have dry powder ready to pounce? The one thing that I think is really interesting on this one is if you look at the market cap that they're estimating coming out with, they're looking at about $1 a share target for around $100 million market cap. If you compare that to the Canadian blockchain peers that are out there, and you'll find this on their investor deck, Voyager Digital is a $3 billion company based around a centralized exchange. WonderFi or WNDR is a $200 million market cap, just doing DeFi applications. DeFi Technologies, DEFI, has an $800 million market cap, doing ETF products and DeFi venture capital. All they're really doing is buying things like Wellfield, tokens.com, COIN, the Canadian version, not the US version, which is Coinbase. They're doing token staking and NFTs. They're at a $250 million market cap. Hive Technologies, which is a Bitcoin and Ethereum miner, $2 billion market cap. Wow. And out comes Wellfield Technologies with a $100 million valuation. Now they've raised 20 million bucks, 19 million in private before they've come out. They could have got a lot more. And their decision was, one, we don't need to just go and grab all the money that wants to come, because realistically, they don't have a lot of need for it. Their products are high margin. They're already developed for the most part. And all they're doing is continuing along a development path. So having 19 million bucks in the bank gives them a lot of runway. Two, what they want is for everybody to ride this thing upwards. So, traditionally, your house street guys will get in there, they'll get themselves cheap paper, and they'll try and blow it up as expensive as they can before they go public. Mark Lustig, people who've watched our website for a while now, as the guy who built Canada Royalty / Origin House, and then turned it into $1 billion exit with Cresco Labs. He is the chair of this company, and he does not take that public position in a lot of companies. He's on the board of a few. He's on the advisory board of a few. He's a heavy investor in a lot, but getting him as chairman of this company tells me that this is a serious deal. And anyone who knows Lustig's way, he doesn't juice everybody at the beginning of a company. He's not out there firing away cheap paper. He wants everybody to make money. He wants the thing to build over time into a real company that either has a substantial exit at a later date or generates dividends. This dude is not a house street loser. He is someone who anyone who's worked with knows. He's a straight shooter. He does things the right way. That tells me that this company is a straight shooter and does things the right way. I think the market cap is very, very reasonable, and tells me that if people are in the know and have a bunch of money that couldn't get into that raise, this thing could really take off at the open. I'm not going to say it will, because you never really know. The story might still not be out there, and it is a complicated one to understand for people who aren't already invested in the DeFi world. But this is a very serious deal in a very serious space. And if, like me, you're worried about investing in crypto because 10 guys own 50% of it and could get out at any time, or the government could throw up guardrails at any time that drop something in a big way, getting into the picks and shovels and getting a little piece of everybody's deal makes a whole lot of sense. So for me, I'm watching it when it opens on Tuesday. If it moves in a reasonably up direction, I wouldn't be afraid to put all of your cash in there, Rob. That'd be my choice.
All 7,500 bones by, let's say, Friday?
Yep.
All right.
I mean, look, if it drops, buy on the dips. But I think this is a real long-term play.
Galen?
I'm positive, like Chris, but probably a little more, not pessimistic, just cautious. I like the setup. And yes, Mark Lustig is not Elon Musk in the sense that he's not willing to ream you for stock prices on a company that's horribly overvalued. He's actually willing to go in at what it is and wants to see it climb and improve by performance. And that way everybody makes money rather than just a few guys that are throwing paper out the door. Kimball Musk. Anyway, I think I would probably back off a little bit, mostly because it's the industry that needs to mature a little bit. We still don't know where things are going to land. I like the way these guys are going, so I'll probably get a taste of it. I'd throw in 3,500 and see where things are in 6 months, and then see where it goes from there. But yeah, I like what I see.
Vishal.
Yep. I like the sector too. I do like cryptos. I don't want to get too macro, but I think it's maybe a way out of fiat, just given what might be coming down the road. I am really interested in the DeFi space and the changes that can happen there. When it comes to Wellfield, the way I'm going to play this is sort of different. I just personally don't like to play IPOs, so I would be waiting maybe a few days or a few weeks just to see how the chart forms. I like to watch for highs to be set, lows to be set, and support and resistance levels to develop. So I have something that I can sort of work with. So that's personally what I would be doing. I do think, though, as Galen and Chris mentioned, it is definitely more of a long-term play. But I just think for me personally, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines, watch the IPO, and give it a few days or weeks to develop some levels for me, and then go from there. And as Chris said, if it does come down and we build a nice support perhaps in the next few weeks, then I think I might be looking to buy some there. But as of now, for tomorrow, I would just be watching the IPO and give it some time to create levels for me to watch.
That's fair.
Spoken like a true chart attack man.
Yeah.
Michelle waiting on the text. So it's pretty interesting. We go from the full Monty to nada to somewhere in the middle. So that's
I'm with Vishal normally on first day of a public listing. I steer clear generally because some idiot will always overbid and then it's a slide downwards. It always ends up looking like a broken IPO.
Right.
But in this case, I think the market cap is so reasonable, and they've gone out of their way to make sure that this isn't a deal where nobody's got any value left to get, that I think it's going to actually go on a run. I know that they've cut off their raise, taking a lot less money than was available to them. I imagine that money's going to be coming in at some point in the next few days. So that's the only reason that I'm ready to spin the wheel. Nice. Normally, though, I would be like, throw in a couple of thousand and see what happens. I just feel like it's going to be a good day.
Nice. All right, there you have it. And congratulations to the fellows over there at WFLD on the Venture Exchange. Congratulations to the Wellfield Technologies, Inc. people for getting this going. Very exciting day for them. Levi Cohen's the CEO. We have an interview with Brian Locke on the website with Jody Vance. Brian Locke is the CFO based in Canada. And again, it's Wellfield Technologies, Inc., WFLD.Venture Exchange. Throwing together the Seamless and the Moneyclip products and turning it into Wellfield Technologies. Phantom will have to get back to being the Phantom as we bid you adieu. And again, peeps, please, IPO or not, do your own research, do your own homework. We can't guarantee anything from what we tell you. We're just trying to do a little educating here. And there are no past results to look at in terms of future performance, but you got to do your homework anyway. All right?
By the end of the day.
Yeah, get her done by the end of the day. And I'm sure we'll be back here on an investor roundtable in the not so distant future talking about Wellfield again, because we will have charts and some numbers to talk about. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you on the very next Equity Guru Investor Roundtable.